but they don't have any jurisdiction to go further than to just prosecute the soldier for the infraction that he is guilty of, if that makes sense the way I'm saying it.
No, I understand. Do they have any duty or is there any legality, or do they have legal requirements to inform civilian prosecutors of such cases?
Yes.
Okay.
If they suspect or if there's additional wrongdoing that is outside of their scope of being able to prosecute, and in this case to hold the individual soldier accountable for having this material that he's not supposed to have, they prosecute that portion of it. If it is beyond what they can prosecute, then they refer the soldier to civilian court systems. But in this case, the military did handle the prosecution of the soldier, and I think all he got was like 30 days and reduction in rank to E1. They kicked him out of the Army and gave him a less than honorable discharge, I think. I don't think he even got a bad conduct for that, but I know that he was put out of the military, and I think he did the 30 days in jail. I think is the most that they can give you at the at the level that they prosecuted him at. So I'm not saying that for sure on the jail time, but I do know for a fact he was put out of the military.
Okay. So they had films. They had some of those films.
Was his name.
Cable?
Yes, Habel. That was his last name. Habel, I think. Staff Sergeant Habel. I just remembered it because I could picture his face, and I just couldn't remember his name.
Habel. Okay. Habel.
Yes, I'm relatively certain on that name. I don't have the best memory. I was in a blast in Iraq, and one of the things that I struggle with mightily are names.
Yeah.
But I'm fairly sure that's his name.
Okay. And in terms of the films they had, so there was obviously a collection of pornography. Is there anyone you're in contact with of those your commanding officers that would they talk to you? Would they provide evidence, or is it a situation where
Michael Bayless is the only one that I remember speaking to about it. I have not spoken to him since I left Fort Carson in 2011. I would think that he would probably remember something like that, just the unusualness of it. First sergeants deal with things day in and day out, but I would think that he would remember that just because of how it's not every day that you have to deal with something like that, Yeah. But it is possible. I think my commanding officer's name at that time was Captain Colasanto, but I'm not sure because you get commanding officers come and go. The first sergeants, they tend to stick around longer.
Yeah.
But commanding officers are a lot of times they're only there for a year or two, and then they're off to the next thing. So my recollection of the commanding officer may not be accurate.
What's the spelling of his last name? Colasanto?
Cola, Colasanto.
Okay. Saint Cola.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you think would be helpful to talk about right now about then, the time frame? That was the first time anyone had ever mentioned to you anything about the films other than when you were involved in filming? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
I always knew that they were, that the films, at least one or two of them were out there. I don't even know how many times I was filmed. But I can tell you that some of them are extraordinarily horrible. I can give you one instance where they were filming us. It was me and a girl that I knew that I had been trafficked with in other venues. And while we were filming, they came in and shot her in the head. So killed her, obviously. So that would be...
Was that the runaway?
That was another girl, and I can't even remember her name. Yeah. The runaway was tortured to death in a duplex in Enterprise, Alabama. My parents did that, and that wasn't on film, not her being tortured, but that was that black girl that I'm telling you about that later on Michael Bayless had talked to me about. But they went and got her because they were afraid that this was after the investigation in Tennessee, and they were afraid that they would go down for child pornography. So they were wanting to kill her, and then they were wanting to get rid of me via an accident, but they couldn't because they had already tried to kill me several times. They had the incident in Texas involving the Chevy van. There was another instance in Texas where my dad threw me into the middle of a pool and said, sink or swim. And somebody saw it and called the sheriff. So there was a police report on that. And then there was a third instance in Texas where my dad threw me down a flight of stairs. And that one fractured my skull. Now, there may have been other things that happened as well, but I remember those three were enough that they generated an investigation. Yeah. There were enough things that happened in Texas that my dad moved from Texas to Tennessee, and then got in trouble in Tennessee, and then got in trouble in Tennessee, and then moved to Alabama, got in trouble in Alabama, and then we just moved one more time.
And you're talking about
Alabama.
Your adoptive dad, William Kyle Riley, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have located my birth parents. My birth mother lives in Sierra Vista, and my birth father lives in Edmond, Oklahoma, but I have not reached out to either of them. Mm-hmm. I just, within the last year, probably 6 months, I learned where they live. Mm-hmm. So that, I don't know, that's just an odd dynamic for me, and I'm still kind of processing that. But as far as family goes, I have a half-sister up in Massachusetts, and that's about it.
Okay. And your adopted dad, William Kyle Riley, worked as a pilot and was involved.
Yes.
Integrated in the Epstein Trump.
He was involved in all kinds of things.
Yeah. And he worked a lot with Trump and Epstein, correct?
I know that he was around Epstein and worked with Epstein. And I want to say that he flew for Epstein. And if not for Epstein directly, like transporting Epstein himself, he did transport some of the rich people to and from these parties that Epstein and company hosted. It wasn't just him. It was kind of a cabal of several people, and Epstein was the lead coordinator, maybe you would call it. But it's much more than just him as an individual. You know, it was people like him, like Trump, other people, and I can't remember, like how many, but he was handy to have around because he was a part of the process, and he isn't just like an airline pilot or something like that. He can fly anything. He can fly helicopters, fixed wing, smaller aircraft, larger aircraft. I mean, he's that pilot, that kind of that multi-purpose guy that could transport whatever you needed.
Okay, so
I don't know if he ever got into the drugs. I can remember him talking at one point, and he had refused to do a drug run, basically, and somebody else took that drug run, and they got busted.
Yeah.
So I don't know what kind of aircraft it was or whatever, and it was around Florida that guy got busted at. Maybe he flew down to the Virgin Islands or something like that. I can't remember these specific details, but I can remember the conversation that my dad had talking about, thank God I didn't take that.